Hi, this is Polly from thefitmumformula.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about how you can tweak and adapt your own family recipes to make them healthier, because as much as it's nice learning new recipes for variety and getting some inspiration, sometimes, especially when you're short on time and you know you've got fussy eaters in the house and kids and partners to cater for as well, sometimes it's just easier, at least temporarily, to stick to what you know. But if those particular meals you're making aren't serving you, if you don't have the body or the health that you want, then tweaking them might be one way of the best of both worlds, in that everybody's happy, you get the familiar meals that everybody loves, but they still are better for your health. So how do you go about doing this? Well, sometimes it's common sense. If you're serving yourself a massive portion, then that could be the simple one reason that you can't lose weight. You're just serving yourself too much food. And I see this quite commonly when people, when they settle down, they have a partner, especially a male partner, who has a lot bigger appetite and bigger calorie needs than you do. You get into this habit. It almost happens by accident. You get so used to serving up your meals that you don't notice that you're serving yourself almost as much or as much as you're serving him, not taking into account that men need a lot more calories on the whole. Not everybody, but on the whole, men do need a lot more calories than women. So it might be as simple as you're just serving yourself too much. If you're worried about going hungry, it's really simple. Just bulk up on vegetables and salad on the side, and then your plate volume can be the same, but the calorific part of the meal can be smaller, because of course calories and vegetables have the calories in vegetables are very low, and salads, so that will give you the same amount of food but with fewer calories in it. One way of working out, if you can't figure out what's wrong with the meal, or you don't know whether it's that a particular meal, one particular thing that you keep making that is a problem meal, I would recommend the app MyFitnessPal. Now, this is a really popular app because it's so comprehensive and very easy to use as well. There's an online version on that you can use via a laptop or a computer, but also there's an app, and what you can actually do is you can plug in the ingredients that you use in that meal, and it will tell you the nutrition in it. So it will tell you not only the calories, but things like the protein and the carbohydrates and the fat as well, and then it'll give you that for the overall meal. And then you can work out, well, if I make that meal and I know it serves 4 of us, or I eat maybe a third, he eats a third, and the kids eat a sixth, for example. If you've got 2 small kids, they'll have less. Then you can work out, well, what's a third of that number that it's given me in terms of calories? What's the third of that? And that's what you're eating. And you might realise that might switch a light bulb and go, wow, that's actually a lot more than I thought it was. So again, you can just take common sense there. If you like the recipe and the recipe itself works for you, but you've realised that it is very high calorie, you could just have a smaller portion of it. Or you could tweak it. And now there's lots and lots of ways you can tweak a recipe to lower the calorie content. And obviously, if other people in your family have higher calorie needs, that might mean that you need to add bits to the end to put those calories back in, or just serve them a bigger portion. Like, you can do things like put cheese on top, put butter on the vegetables, that kind of stuff, but just so that they're not getting less than they need. But for the recipe itself, there's all sorts of ways you can lower the calorie content of the overall meal. So I'm going to go into the 4 ways you can do that now that are really, really simple. The first 2 things you want to do are increase the vegetable content. Now, that's a really common one, it's a really popular one for mums to do, because it's also a great way of sneaking in vegetables to fussy kids who are not interested in vegetables. These could be vegetable purees into things like a bolognese. There could be finely chopped veg. It could be increasing the amount. Let's say you're making a stir fry and you have 50% meat, 50% vegetables. Well, maybe increase that to like twice the amount of vegetables, and automatically you've got more veg there without changing the meal itself at all. You just added more vegetables to bulk it out. And you can do this with pretty much any meal. You know, casseroles, stews, soups, slow cooker meals, bolognese, chili, stir fried I've already spoken to, pretty much any meal you can do, you can add extra vegetables, and it's no more work and it's no different to what you're already doing. You're just adding more of it. So that's one way. And then when it comes to serving your portion up on the plate, if you're serving yourself up the same amount that you were before, that same portion is now going to be lower in calorie because more of it is vegetables and less of it is the other stuff. One thing you want to keep high in a meal and consider making it more filling in particular is bumping up the protein content. So a classic example I like to use here is pasta in tomato sauce. Now there's very little protein in them. There is a little bit in pasta, but you can't call it a protein food. There's not enough compared to the carbohydrates to call pasta a protein food, even if yes, you do see on the label there's a tiny bit of protein on it. So one way you could change that is you could throw in some diced chicken. Now it's pasta with chicken and tomato sauce, and all of a sudden that meal with one added ingredient becomes a lot higher in protein and a lot lower in carbs, and that makes it a lot more filling for the same amount of food. So again, if you're serving yourself up that same portion as you were before, the very fact that it's got so much more protein in it is going to make it that much more satisfying. You'll be fuller quicker and it will keep you fuller for longer, which overall is going to make you reduce the amount of calories you consume because you just won't be as hungry for more food, and you won't be craving big puddings afterwards as well because you'll be more satisfied. Now, two places you can cut calories. I would never recommend cutting vegetables because they're not very high calorie in the first place, or protein for those reasons I've spoken about. That's very filling, it is satisfying, it helps support that lean muscle mass, that muscle that makes you look toned, that all of you say you want to look toned. That's muscle, and you do need protein to have muscle. So I would never recommend cutting down on protein, but two places you can cut calories, shave off, and which one or how much you choose of each is going to be individual preferences, going to be down to your personal preferences and your needs and how they make you feel. But the two things you can cut down on are the carbohydrate portion and the fat portion. Now, the reason that it's different for each person is because different bodies and different lifestyles require different amounts of things. Typically, not always, but typically, the more active you are, if you exercise a lot, you're going to need more carbohydrates to fuel that exercise because it's very glycolytic. It uses these kind of quick energy sources if you exercise a lot. On the other hand, if you're very sedentary or don't exercise a lot or tend to do gentle exercise, maybe you're active but it's a lot of walking, maybe you walk a lot or go for gentle bike rides, slow jogs, that kind of thing, or low impact classes like Zumba, for example. If it's a lot of gentler exercise, you might be better off going lower carb but higher fat because you're not needing those quick energy boosts like somebody who does a lot of intense exercise. So which you cut back on or which you keep in is very personal, and what I recommend you do if you're not sure is just try it. Try a few days where you go much lower carb but you keep in the fats. You have things like avocados, olives, oily fish, nuts, seeds, that kind of thing into your diet. And then switch and have a few days where you're having slightly, don't ever go fat-free, but slightly lower on the fat end, but have some more starchy things. Have your sweet potatoes, your rice, your pastas, your potatoes, that kind of thing, and see how you feel. Have a few days where you have a little bit of each, half and half, and again, see how you feel, and that's the best way to figure out what is best for you. So if you want to cut down on fat, some ways you can do that are always going for the leanest meats and fishes. You can still have red meat, but choose the leaner options. You want to restrict the amount of oil you're cooking with. Spray oil is a good one, or sometimes you can just put a tiny bit in a pan and then use one of the kitchen towels to wipe it round, like coat the pan evenly to stop things sticking. Use lower fat yogurts as well, not diet kind of added sugary nonsense yogurts, but low fat Greek yogurt. And but then keeping in the things like the potatoes and the quinoa and the rice and those sorts of starches. On the other hand, if you want to try cutting down on the carbohydrates, then let's say it's a beef stew that has all your meat, your vegetables, your your stock and gravy type sauce, and it has has a load of chopped up potatoes in there as well. One thing you could try is just giving the potatoes a miss, and then you having the stew as it is without the potatoes, with some extra vegetables, maybe some green veg, some broccoli or something, spinach on the side. And then for people with bigger appetites, bigger calorie needs, serve a potato on the side, like a jacket potato with the stew on top. And then that way everybody gets their own needs. But if you don't need all that potato that you were getting, if you're not doing that high intensity exercise and you're eating too many calories currently, then just cutting that out, or having a lot smaller amount of potato or other starch, is one way that's really easy of cutting calories without making the same recipe, cutting calories, without losing the important things, which are the protein and the vegetables. So there you go. That's 4 really easy ways you can make your own recipes healthier and support your weight loss goals without learning anything new, no new recipes, no new cooking skills needed. Let's just go over those briefly. You can put the meal into MyFitnessPal, work out if it is a very high calorie meal in the first place. You can try cutting down on the portion. Just whatever you're making, just cut down the portion and then fill up your plate if you're still hungry with more vegetables or salad. And then you can tweak your recipes by adding more vegetables, so it lowers the overall calorie content per portion. You can increase the protein to make it more filling, so you might eat less of it, or you'll eat less later on during the day. You can reduce the fat and you can reduce the carbs. If you need more help doing that specific recipes, please just get in touch. Post it on my page, in one of my groups, send me a message or drop me an email, polly@thefitmumformula.com. Say, I've got this recipe, what do you think I should do to make it healthier? I'll give you a few pointers. You can go away and try them. It's as simple as that. And then you'll probably find that the changes are so minimal that the whole family still loves them and they won't even notice you've played around with it. And that makes life easy for everybody, isn't it? I hope that was helpful. Please like, comment and subscribe on YouTube if you like these videos, or tag somebody you know who will benefit from watching this under the video. And as I said, please do get in touch anytime you need to. Polly from thefitmumformula.com.